I will go ahead and get started. My name is Amira Alvarado, and I'm the Regional Assistant Director of Admissions, and I actually live in Southern California. And I am super excited to be here with some of our department leads and students from our Human Sciences and Design department, and specifically with our Apparel Design and Merchandising, as well as Interior Design. So with that, I will pass it over to Professor Fader.
Hi, welcome to the premiere. I'm Jaynie Fader, and today I have two ambassadors with me. I have Sarah Miller. You want to wave to them, Sarah? Sarah's a senior apparel merchandising major, and she's from Colorado. And we also have from the apparel side, Caitlin Rose. Caitlin is a sophomore, junior now, or sophomore in year, and she's from Frisco, Texas. Wave to them, Caitlin, and we'll now I'll pass it off to Professor Michelle Brown from Interior Design.
Hi, welcome. I'm Michelle Brown. I am the program coordinator for Interior Design, and today we have two ambassadors with us, Tanaka Zenda and Heather Brandon, and they are both juniors. Wave.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with the presentation. I'll first talk about apparel design and merchandising. You can see a sketch to the right that was done manually. We always teach our students how to do things manually first and then on the computer. I'm going to quickly go through this slide. And I'll focus in on some of the things as we go through. One of the things the apparel program is consistently ranked nationally and internationally, and it has been over the past, I'd say, 15 years. We have an extensive use of technology and textiles. We'll talk about that more. We have knowledgeable professors. Our professors have all worked in the industry. And our students, one of the best ways for them to get a job is through networking with our alums and our student organization. We also have a low student to faculty ratio. One of the strengths of our program is our textiles. You'll be taking 2 textiles classes, a beginning and an advanced, so you're going to get an extensive knowledge in textile science. We also have a technology lab. We're known for our technology. We have lots of different software off-the-shelf programs, Adobe, as well as apparel specific, Gerber, Optitex, and a lot of different, we have a digital textile printer. This is one of our grads, Emily Dawkins. She works in the New York area and some of the fabrics she designed. And we have a digital textile printer. You can see on the right, her printing out some of her, one of her garments she's going to create with the textiles she designed. We have a body scanner, a 3-dimensional body scanner that will scan the body, and you can get 2 and 3D measurements. We have 2 and 3D software for creating patterns, fabrics. You can create an avatar and see what the patterns look like on the body before it's sewn up, which reduces down the number of samples that are created. And we have a visual merchandising course. We have fashion shows. This year we're doing an exhibition. You can see on the left a garment that was created from one of our students and being modeled, and the garments in the middle and on the right. And then here are some more garments created by different students. Meg Quinnis, she went to work for Neiman's, Hannah Maynard Children's Wear, and then Cassidy Kersey's garment on the right. She works for Mast, which is part of the Limited. We have lots of different study abroad opportunities at Baylor, one in Europe and then in New York. This year, we're actually going back to Europe. We haven't been there since COVID, but this year we're going to Italy. Normally go to 2 countries, but due to COVID, we're just going to 1. But there's where they go to museums, they have classes, they get course credit, as well as get to visit apparel companies. Sarah, did you do any of the study abroad? Since you've been
No, unfortunately, because of COVID, I was signed up for it spring of 2020, but I didn't get to do it.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to check. I didn't think you did. And I know Caitlin hasn't been to it since we haven't been doing it since she's been at Baylor. Here they are in New York City. They visited Rent the Runway, apparel companies. The visual merchandising has gone on field trips. It's been a little bit more limited since COVID. I know they started back on field trips this year. Sarah, Caitlin, have y'all been on field trips since we've started field trips back? No.
Yes, I have.
Oh, Caitlin, you wanted to tell what you've done? On field trip?
We went to North Park Mall in Dallas and we visited Neiman's and met with the visual merchandising, one of the directors there. I think he's over the Neiman's in Dallas, and then a couple in Tennessee and along, I guess all over the nation actually. And then we also went to Anthropologie and we met with the visual merchandising head of that store. And then we've been to Buckle as well. And he was so cool in Waco and we got to talk to him. But it's been super fun. I'm so glad that I've gotten to do that. And I've made connections with just professionals that work there. And even though I don't want to go into visual merchandising, they've connected me to other professionals. So it's super exciting.
Great. And the professor that teaches that class is Jane Jarrell, and she's on the right side of the screen there. Our students also do internships, and you have a pre-internship class that Dr. Brunson teaches. She's on the left side in this peach colored dress. And then after you take the pre-internship class that teaches you how to do a resume, you do mock interviews, they give you contacts, places where you can go look for a job. You do find your own internship, and you do an internship one semester, and you can do this twice. Sarah, you want to talk about your internship that you did?
Yeah, really quick. I was actually connected to my internship at Kohl's through Dr. Brunson, who's the one in the pink colored dress. But she sent out the application and I had already applied for a bunch of other ones, but thankfully I got interviews and got the internship with Kohl's, and it was actually a store management internship. So I got to stay here in Waco for the summer and just work at the Kohl's here in Waco. And it was great experience, a little bit wider range than what our merchandising classes usually cover. So I got more customer service and kind of more of a look at the store side of things, more than just kind of corporate or behind the scenes that we usually learn about. But that was really great. And I've made some awesome connections. And it was a great networking opportunity also with some people that are local here in Waco as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you. And these are some of the places where our students have worked for internships. Eloquy is design. Some of these are retail, some are merchandising, and some are designed. A lot of the retailers do have their own product development and design, but it's a wide range of products. And now I'll pass this off to Professor Brown.
Interior design, and this is just an example of a senior capstone. You'll go ahead and move to the next slide, Jaynie. Okay, Baylor Interior Design is CETA accredited. That's the Council for Interior Design Accreditation, and we've been accredited for almost 15 years now. We do have small class sizes. We're preparing you for real world design. We also require internship experiences. We also do the study abroad, and we'll be doing it this summer. They will be in London, Paris, and then Italy for their third location with what's going on. Next slide. We have the IDAB Interior Design Association. That's a student organization. And so students can be active in both ASID and IIDA, which are the two interior design professional organizations. And so they get to be involved with student conferencing or have guest speakers at professional meetings. We also are heavy into the technology. We have two 3D printers and a laser cutter and a CNC router. So some of the models you're seeing there are printed either with the CNC, not the CNC, the laser cutter or the 3D printer. Students also learn AutoCAD, Revit, and SketchUp. Tanaka and Heather are both working on some models and had pieces cut this week for their projects. Next. We also do field trips, do exercises experiencing different activities. So you can see wheelchair exercise up there where students get to go through and see some things. Tanaka or Heather, either one, any particular field trip or experience that stands out?
I think that the wheelchair one that you were talking about is probably one of my favorite exercises we've done. It really just helped us to focus more on the challenges that are brought to a person that's in a wheelchair, which is something that a lot of us never really thought about. I just really like how intentional the program is at making sure that we're not only making aesthetically beautiful places, but we're making like functionally beautiful places. So I really like that exercise.
All right, next slide. Again, we do the study abroad trip. These are some pictures from previous trips. We didn't get to go in 2020 because of COVID, but they're going this year. Next slide. These are some posters from internships. Our students have to do a 240-hour internship. It's typically between their junior and their senior year. It can be with any type of a firm, interior or architecture. Our only requirement is that you are supervised by a licensed designer or architect. And I know Heather and Tanaka are searching for internships. Heather, you got one already, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Okay. All right, these are some examples of student work. These are all from freshman level class, graphics 2, where they're learning to draw perspectives and doing some color rendering. Next. These are also some digital components. The center one of the reception area and the hallway, and then it's Heather's floor plan from her maquette is there, but we're as she said, just not doing things that look beautiful, but we're also making sure that things are functional. So they learn the construction end of it. And so you're seeing a construction model in the lower portion. We also get to work with actual clients when it fits into the curriculum. This was some examples of the Dr. Pepper Museum. Last spring, they redesigned the soda fountain area. And so we did site visits and presentations. Next. This is one from Waco Family Health, which was another one that the seniors did a couple of years ago. We've continued to work with Waco Family Health, and this year seniors also continue to do some projects for them. And this is an example of a capstone project. Their last senior capstone for the last several years has wound up being a project that is an adaptive reuse of an existing building. So they have to do some research on the building, but then they have a choice for making it either a boutique hotel. If they want more of a residential feel, they do upscale condo or apartments and still have a commercial kitchen and restaurant, or they can do a senior living facility. That kind of concludes the interior design. Is there anything, Heather or Tanaka, you would like to add about any experience you've had?
I guess I can speak from just like coming into the interior design program as like a sophomore, because I didn't start my freshman year, and I can say that it was easy to like get acclimated to the courses, to the teachers, and like build those relationships. So it's not scary. It's a really great program, and they teach you everything you need to know, from like sketching to conception to actually like throwing you into using like SketchUp or AutoCAD. So it's really like inclusive and very good, and you learn a lot. So.
And we did have one question in the chat for the apparel design program, if freshmen are allowed to design for the fashion show, or is it only upperclassmen?
I can answer that question. We haven't had the fashion show in the last 2 years, and we're doing an exhibition this year. But in the past years, we've had work from freshmen through senior in the fashion show. We usually have about 120 looks.
And I'm not sure if either of you know if we have any international students in any of those programs.
We do have a few international students in the programs. I've got a senior right now who's from China. And I believe there are a couple of freshmen. I don't have the freshman students, but I think there are a couple who are also, one's China and the other one may be Thailand. Can't remember. But we have had students from Mexico, China, and Africa in the past.
The same with apparel design and merchandising. Right now we have a senior who's from also China. We had Francesca Acton. She was from Spain, but we've had them from all over. Chilla was from Poland, I believe. I'm trying to think back, but we've had them from all over the Far East in Europe and some from South America.
Great. And then the next question is, how do student athletes balance the internship and overseas requirements?
We've had a lot of student athletes. I just had a volleyball player named Ashley, and she came from more of a rural background, and she did her internship, I believe, at Tractor Supply, which is really different, and she ended up going to work for Academy. We had an athlete last spring, and she was on the track team, and she did an internship with Nike. And at the end of the internship, they offered her a position, and that's where she's working now, as for Nike. We have Chella that I mentioned. I don't remember where she did her internship, but she was playing tennis. We've had soccer players. I had an equestrian, the captain of the equestrian team, who transferred here from Auburn. And she did an internship at Nordstrom's, and now she works for them full-time in upper management. She's a vice president. We had a track star from Danielle Davis, who transferred here from Auburn also, and she ended up going on to grad school, and she did an internship in London. We've had lots of athletes through the years. Those are just some I can remember off the top of my head, though.
We've also had, right now I currently have 2 equestrian majors, a softball major. We've had soccer and basketball in the past, as well as people on the dance team.
Yes,
I put them in athletic category too.
I've never had a basketball player, but almost everything else.
That's great. And then you kind of mentioned this with Nike, the student who got to go to Nike, but the question was, for clothing design or apparel design, is there an opportunity to branch into more sportswear clothing, shoes? I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or just that it is possible.
Actually, the student who did the Nike internship, she did it footwear. But we do have we have industrial sewing equipment, and we have a lot that is set up for knits. And Dr. Michelson, that's her area of expertise, is knitwear. And we've had a lot of our seniors do their senior collection in activewear. Emma Bronner did, another track athlete, Kiana Hahn, did hers in activewear. And then she did all of her sketching in my class in activewear. So we don't really specialize in footwear, but we have had some go into that and into accessories.
Okay, and then sorry, let me go back. Do the apparel designer students go into all different studies of the field, or does it stay in the management and design area?
Okay, the apparel design, let's say they go into 3 different areas. Obviously, apparel design, product development, where they're more on the technical side. We have a student right now who's a senior who she did like 3 internships, a couple more online just because of COVID. But last fall, she interviewed with Abercrombie, And for a technical design position, she had like an all day, she had a couple of previous short interviews, and then she had an all day where she actually had to do work for them. And she was offered last fall in November a job in technical design for Abercrombie, which she'll start when in June, first week of June. Some go into the fabric area, fabric design, and actually one of the interior design ambassadors is on Tonka Zinda right now. Her sister, Tariro, is working in New York, more in the textile area. And then we've had some that ended up more in merchandising, buying and that kind of field. So, and some end up in apparel, some end up in accessory. Most end up in apparel, and a wide variety of different, from activewear to children's to sportswear to business clothing, outerwear, just really varies.
Yeah. And now a couple of questions for interior design. Are there any skills you expect each student to have before coming to the program? It's a great question.
There are no skills that we expect them to have before they get here. Like Tanaka said, we kind of teach them everything they need to know once they get here. So there's no particular skill. They don't have to have a portfolio to come in. They don't need to know a particular program. So they just come in and learn.
Perfect. And another question for interior design. How many students are admitted as freshmen? I guess how many students start as freshmen into the program each year?
It varies. Usually the freshman studios have about 36, and that also includes some of the fast trackers. So if someone's changed their major and taken some art classes and a CAD class, they can do what we call as a fast track and complete things in a 3-year program. So between some of the fast trackers and the freshmen, we're usually 36 to 40 for those incoming freshmen.
Okay, and just to clarify for everybody, we don't have impacted majors where you have to apply and then also to Baylor and then also get into like the interior design program. If you get into Baylor and you list interior design or apparel merchandising as your major, then when you start, that will be your program. So just to clarify that, we have room or time for one more question, and that will be maybe for both programs. Are the study abroad trips, I think the question is, are they required for the programs or optional?
They are optional for interior design. I believe they're also optional for apparel.
Yes, they're optional. You do get course credit if you take them, but they're optional.
Perfect. And since that was answered quickly, the last question, if somebody wanted to go into luxury runway, can they learn that at Baylor?
We have had students who've done that. That's not usually the norm because that's not usually where the bulk of the jobs are. You do evening wear, corseted design work. For example, in one of my classes, you create a corseted evening gown. And in your senior collection, you can create that. For example, Lexi Walters, one of our seniors, her all evening pieces. There's not as many jobs in that as there are in like activewear, sportswear, business kind of clothing, outerwear.
Great. Well, I would like to thank all of you guests that came and joined us today. I'd love to thank our professors and our student ambassadors. Hope you guys learned a lot. I know I sure did. I was taking some notes for my presentations. Feel free to go explore for the rest of the day. And if there's anything we can do to help, just reach out to admissions@baylor.edu. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend.